welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is your girl, Coach Corey, and remember, this is the place we inspire, we motivate, and impact. So today we're talking about self-love. And my question to you: how much do you love yourself? In fact, do you even love yourself? Is it possible that you think you love yourself, but you don't know how to love you? Ouch. You expect someone else to love you, but you don't even know how to love yourself. That is a challenge for many of us. And some of us come from cultures that do not teach self-love. In fact, they frown on it and they don't think it's a good idea. It's called selfishness. Unfortunately, that is what has led to so many mental breakdowns and situations that are not so pleasant. Anyway, as per normal, I'm talking too much. This is what we're going to do. We're going to join Coach Jacinta. Coach Jacinta teaches on self-love. I wish I could have brought you the full presentation, but then you'd have nothing to look forward to in next year's conference. So I'm only going to give you a little bit of what Coach Jacinta shared with us, and it was like super amazing. For today, we are going to just share and hear about loving yourself and how that journey looked like for her. So let's join Coach Jacinta and let's talk at the end, and let me hear your comments on what self-love means to you, and are you able to articulate self-love to yourself? Do you know how to love yourself? Do you even know your own love language? Do you know what excites you? Do you know what makes you, tick? I know for myself, traveling is self-love for me. And so even through this pandemic, while people are holed up in the house, I have traveled more during this pandemic than I have traveled in a really long time. I'm not about to get depressed. That's just me. That's what self-love is for me. And I'm still learning. So let's join Coach Jacinta. Let's hear what self-love is all about. And let's come back at the end and let's take notes. So grab you a notebook and a paper, because we're going to have some things that we need to talk about. And maybe we should have some homework. Watching video is great, but you know how they say knowledge is power? No. Knowledge is potential power. If you don't use that knowledge, then what good is it until you put it into practice? So let's see if we can practice what Jacinta teaches us, and next time somebody looks at you, they'll be like, she loves herself, he loves himself. Yes, we have to love ourselves first before others can love us the way we would like to be loved. Enjoy, and I'll talk to you at the end.
Self-love is actually putting yourself as your top priority, because only then can you authentically be able to give to others. Only then can others give you. So the thing is, we are energetic beings, so if you show up in self-rejection, self-abandonment, that's exactly how the other people are going to energetically reflect back on you. Because if you haven't accepted yourself, if you are self-neglecting, you are not in harmony with who you are, that's how the other person is going to treat you. So it's very important that we do this work. It's very important that we become our own self-advocates. It's very important that you see yourself as the beautiful woman God intended you to be, because nobody else can do that as good as you can do for yourself. So that's why I chose this work. It took me a few breakdowns to get here, but
let's talk about the breakdowns. So how did you get into this world?
So for me to answer that question accurately, I have to go back to my childhood, right? So I grew up in a family of 15 children, right? My father had 2 wives. I grew up in the village with 15 children, and I was one of the older kids. And on top of that, my father was an alcoholic. So any child who grew up in an alcoholic, they know the dysfunction of that. They know the chaos of having an alcoholic parent, right? So I became a codependent at a very young age because I was forced at a very young age to be the caregiver to my mom. My father had 2 wives, my mom had 7. So I became the raiser, the person who raised most of my siblings, right? And naturally, when you become a caregiver at a very young age, you abandon yourself. Yourself ceases to exist because you're constantly giving to others, right? So the one thing I knew for sure, and there was a lot of domestic violence in my home. My mother was constantly being beaten like on a daily basis by an alcoholic father. My aunts, my uncles all beat up their wives like really badly. At one point I remember very distinctly, 7 or 8 years old, my auntie had ran away from her husband and she came over to our place. She had a broken arm and a broken leg, right? And I remember all the women just telling her how she needed to change herself even more so that she doesn't trigger the man, right? And I was like, this shit is not gonna be me.
This is why I like her.
Yes, it's not gonna be me.
How old were you?
7 or 8. Right? Yes. And I had a very, very active mind. I would go and visualize, like create these stories how I was going to leave the village, I was going to leave Kirinyaga, I was going to go to some place where I was going to have my nails done, I would have nice outfits. I created a whole woman that was not what I was seeing, right? So I was not going to get married, I was just going to look pretty, I was going to be on TV, I was going to have my nails done, my makeup, I would be fashionable. That world was out there for me. It wasn't right? And my mom, she would make us go milk cows. I refused. I told my mom. All my sisters were milking. I refused to learn because I didn't belong there. I was not milking cows. My life, my future life was
And it's so interesting, and this is the reason why we had Joanne come first. Because now do you see the three people? Because that's why I asked you how old. She said 7 or 8. At that point, you're like, look, I'm getting nails done. And I'm laughing so hard because I'm looking at your nails right now.
So I was going to have my nails done. And a lot of times you can become very jaded against men, right? For me, I was like, so yeah, there are these men who are horrible to their wives and the women and the children around them. But there was a man out there who could treat me like a queen, right? I truly believed that. At a very young age, I was going to leave. I was not going to shut myself off from men, but there was going to be a man who was going to worship the ground I walk on. I believed that.
Mercy, do you like that? She said hello. Yes.
Yeah, so I ended up, funny thing is, all that came true. I ended up somehow leaving Kirinyaga. My idea of leaving Kirinyaga was to go to Nairobi, but somehow God made a path. And I found myself in Washington State. That's all
And remember, we always say that God gives you what? Exceedingly and abundantly more than you can imagine. So she didn't go to Nairobi, she went to Washington State.
Exactly. So, long story short, I find myself in the US, I'm in college, I'm dating men. And then when I went to date, I was on the lookout. He's not it. I never started that. If you reminded me of that, I'm like, nah. So when the right one came along, I was like, yeah, that's it, right? So what I didn't know is I ended up, I never thought I was going to get married, by the way. So I was just wanted partnership, right? So I ended up with all that, eventually got married, had 2 kids. But guess what? The childhood trauma that I had accumulated from childhood that went with me, right? It was unresolved. My codependency was up to here. Again, I had left Kenya. I was the only one here. I came with all 15 siblings and the parents. So I was taking care of everyone. So that codependency.
They came how? Because I think some people are looking confused. They were a part of you.
The responsibility of taking care of them. And being a codependent, you can never say yes. Yourself is abandoned. So I have a family, I have a husband, I have 2 kids, I have a business, and then I have the family back home that I can never say no to them. They're expecting me to take care of them, educate them and all that. And my poor husband, I brought him along to take care of the 15. And then I was really burnt out. And at the same time, I had kind of told myself, and a lot of women do this, I think, is I was going to be this chick that did it all. I was going to show women you can wear high heels, raise 2 kids, cook every meal every day, be perfect wife. I don't know what perfection even means anymore, right? So I was going to be this person who did everything. That's what I was going to model to women. I didn't ask for support from anyone, but I ended up in a major breakdown. Like I literally crashed where I had a mental breakdown. Because all that doing for everyone while abandoning myself, it had a toll. And I remember just crashing, and I was blaming my husband for not making me happy and saving me from myself. Because what I did was, by not healing my childhood trauma, by not taking care of my codependency, I had abandoned myself and thinking that he should be the answer to my problems. And I had a lot of busyness, busy, to run away from myself. So on top of
say that again.
I was running away from myself.
And you had a lot of busyness. How many people are doing that in this room? You're busy all day long, all night.
Avoiding yourself, right? So I was really busy. I have a business, 2 kids, a husband, and there are some weekends I'll be hosting 20 people in my house, cooking for everyone, because I want to be this person that can do it all, right? And what I didn't know at the time was I was running away from Jacinta. Jacinta had no sense of self. Jacinta didn't know who she was, right? And unfortunately, we say this, and we say it's a badge of honor. Jacinta is selfless. If anybody ever calls you selfless, we say I'm not selfless. Because selfless basically means you don't have a self. You live for others. And we keep saying my mother was selfless. My grandmother was a most selfless woman. All that means is she didn't have a self. She has literally been serving it's called servitude. When you're selfless, you're signing up for servitude. So that's what I've done. It caused me mental breakdown. I was the adolescent self, triggered every which way.
Okay, so what did you think? For me, I was reliving my own life and my own journey, and realizing how many times I have expected other people to love me, and I've been upset with them when they did not fulfill my expectations, yet I was putting myself last. Case in point, I remember a time I used to travel for business. You know how you go and you shop for your children, and I used to shop for my husband and my children, but I never bought myself anything. And it just, apparently I didn't notice it, but it kept happening that I would shop for the family and I would not shop for myself. So one day, my daughter asked me, "Mommy, is this what marriage is all about? Because you're always bringing us things, but you never buy anything for yourself." And she said to me, "If this is what marriage is, I don't want to get married." And that was like, whoa, okay, you have a small child. At that time, she was probably not more than maybe 13, 14, I don't remember her exact age, but she was probably in her early teens, and this is my first child. And so I remember thinking, wow, okay, is it that obvious? And it is true. I had made a conscious decision to put myself last, and I thought by doing so I was being a good mother, a good wife, saving the family the expenses. So we would go places, they would look really nice, and I look a little raggedy. You know what I'm saying? Well, guess what? I was communicating the wrong thing to my own children. And it was a wake-up call for me also to realize that that's not self-love. It was stupidity. Because I know we may not have had a lot of money because it was a business travel, and so most of the money went to the business travel, but I should never have put myself last, because without me having a healthy mindset, without me being in the right mind frame, I would not even be able to do business properly. And so I wrote notes as I was listening to Jacinta. So let me hear your story. I've shared with you my story. Put in the comments. I'd like to hear what do you think. Yes, something else. When I know this video may be watched by different people, but I'll speak from my particular culture. When you're getting married, you're called in my language mutumia, meaning one who keeps quiet. And even during the wedding speeches, they tell you how you should be quiet, how you should not respond to your husband when you're upset. And they give you all this advice, and really it's not good advice. It's not healthy advice. It's coming from a good place. They mean well, but the very people sharing this with you are not happy. They are miserable. Their marriages are all messed up themselves. Now on the front they look good, but they are not happy. But they're here giving advice to a young lady and telling you to put up with all the stuff that will make you miserable. And in essence, you're being told to put yourself last. Take care of your husband and your children, and nobody tells you to take care of you. Sweetheart, you are the most important person. There's a little girl watching this. There's a young lady watching this. There's some woman who is in an abusive relationship, and she's there because she's been told, don't put yourself first. Put yourself last. That is a lie from the pits of hell. So generally, you cannot give what you don't have. If you don't have love for you, how are you going to love others? Your love is going to be dysfunctional, people. You cannot love others when you don't love you. So please, whether you're a man or a woman, and yes, if you're a man and you have not been treating your girl right, your sister right, your wife right, you need to think about it. Is it possible that you don't love you and you're projecting your insecurities to that other person because you cannot give what you don't have? So, a little homework for all of us. Let's learn how to love ourselves. Write it down. Do something. Write down the things that you enjoy to do, the things that make you feel alive, because when you love you, you're able to love other people. When you love you, when you understand your own love language, then guess what? You're able to share. And let's not put heavy expectations on those around us. If we can't figure ourselves out, how do you expect someone else to figure you out? So love you and enjoy self-love, and let's learn how to love. And that brings us to the end of our video today. And I have something exciting coming up in the month of September. And just a little sneak peek for our next video. My husband and I are celebrating 30 years of marriage, legal marriage. We've been together 35 years. Yes, 35 years. married 30 years on November 1. So I'm gonna take you on a little journey. We'll have throwback, you know those pictures of the before, how we both were before and where we are now. So stay tuned for the next video. Please do not forget to share, subscribe, and like, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Remember, you always, you are the answer to somebody's prayer. You carry the answer to somebody's prayer. See you next time, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye-bye.